judge heard several requests from lawyers defending Kilpatrick and 3 co-defendants in the upcoming trial.
These included everything from keeping the jury anonymous to incriminating text messages. Our Team 7 coverage begins with investigator Heather Catallo. And Heather, what took place inside the courtroom?
Well, this is just the opening act in what's going to be a very lengthy trial. Today, the defense teams and federal prosecutors argued back and forth on about 12 different key issues. But of course, the big story today is all about the jury. Picking a jury will be no easy task in one of the most anticipated trials in Detroit history. Kwame Kilpatrick, his father Bernard Kilpatrick, the former mayor's longtime friend Bobby Ferguson, and former Water Department Chief Victor Mercado are all charged in a 46-count indictment. Kilpatrick is accused of running a criminal enterprise, and the 4 are facing racketeering and other charges. How is your client?
It's great. Great. He's looking forward to the fight.
Today, defense lawyers argued several motions, hoping to get some of the counts dropped before the trial begins next month.
The lawyers from both sides are really trying to narrow the issues. They're trying to anticipate what evidence might be introduced at the trial. And from a defense perspective, they're also trying to object to certain forms of evidence that they think might be inadmissible.
The biggest decision today, Judge Nancy Edmonds ruled the jury will be semi-anonymous. That means that only the lawyers and the court will know the names and home zip codes of each of the 18 chosen jurors. They'll be identified only by number to the defendants, the media, and the public, and the attorneys won't be allowed to investigate them. Several defense lawyers argued that an anonymous jury taints the jurors against the defendants into believing the secrecy is because of safety concerns. But the judge wants to protect the jurors' privacy as much as possible.
From a defense lawyer's point of view, we'd like to have everything open to the public.
Ferguson's lawyers argued several charges against him should be dismissed, mainly because the city contractor would have had to have been a public official in order for the charges to apply to him. 2 of the bribery counts were dropped, but the others will stand, and Ferguson's defense team says they're ready for battle.
Bobby's as tough as nails. He's fine.
Kwame Kilpatrick's attorney, Jim Thomas, also asked the judge to decide how she'll handle hearsay statements when FBI agents reference things that others said during the investigation about the defendants.
The question is, does it further the alleged conspiracy? And the other question is it relevant to the conspiracy? It might be idle chatter. It might be something that doesn't even relate to the alleged conspiracy. And so that would be a basis to say, no, it shouldn't come in and we shouldn't have it introduced into the evidence.
The text messages were also at issue today. The judge issued a preliminary ruling saying that the text messages can be considered authentic from SkyTel, but the defense attorneys can still challenge those text messages at trial, and you can bet that they will. Reporting live at the federal courthouse in downtown Detroit, I'm Heather Catallo, 7 Action News. Diana, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Heather. And I know you'll keep on top of any new developments in this case. Thank you.
Well, one of the 4 defendants in this federal case is in a quest to distance himself from the rest.
7 Action News reporter Michael Rosenfield has his story from downtown Detroit.
One of the co-defendants in the high-profile case, Victor Mercado, is asking to be tried separately from the rest. His attorney saying today he wasn't part of Kwame Kilpatrick's inner circle and had no idea bribes were allegedly being paid. Prosecutors countered that Mercado, who headed up the water and sewerage department under Kilpatrick, was a, quote, integral part in the racketeering organization. But Mercado's team said in court today he was never compensated like the others close to Kilpatrick, mentioning today that Christine Beatty, the mayor's one-time chief of staff, received $140,000 from the Kilpatrick Civic Fund when she left the administration. That's just one of the illegal payments made during the Kilpatrick years, Mercado's lawyers allege, but Mercado never received anything except his salary.
We're going to file supplemental briefs on the motion to sever, and the judge will likely make a decision on that sometime next week.
Action News legal analyst Tom Cranmer says a separate trial is unlikely because it would lengthen the case.
For reasons of judicial economy, the judges usually like to try all the defendants who are charged in an indictment at the same time.
In filings already submitted to the court, Mercado's team says Mercado was, quote, a victim of the co-defendant's actions. He stood to gain nothing, and he apparently has a lot to say because, according to the documents, he will, quote, in effect, be acting as a second prosecutor. Mercado's legal team is also trying to show that he was an outsider in the Kilpatrick administration by saying he didn't have a nickname. And in all of his text messages to Kilpatrick, they were all professional and started with Mr. Mayor. The others apparently had a much more informal relationship. From downtown Detroit, Michael Rosenfield, 7 Action News.
And be sure to keep it right here on Action News and WXYZ.com for continuing coverage of the federal corruption trial. You can find all of our reports on this investigation on the homepage of our website, WXYZ.com.